Welcome to this presentation where Ken and Stian will talk about how Ceeview have helped Vesteralskraft reduce their cloud cost. So now, over to you guys.
Stian, would you be able to share a few words about Vesteralskraft with the group?
Sure, Ken. Well, Vesteralskraft is a small to medium-sized energy company situated in the beautiful northern part of Norway. We have different business areas. So basically, Vesteralskraft is the holding company where we have our staff that supports our other companies. We have Vesteralskraft Net, which delivers the main electricity grid for our specific area. We have Vesteralskraft Bredband that supports, is a ISP and also builds fiber to the community. And we have Vesteralskraft Production that runs our power stations, basically renewable water power. And we also have Vesteralskraft Varme, which delivers district heating to the area around where we're located. And also a property company.
Thank you for that. And tell us a little bit about your role in amongst the employee base. What's your role and responsibility, Stian?
Well, my main objective is digitization to bring us forward.
Great.
But I'm also acting as a conventional IT director and making sure that we have the best possible solutions for every end user. And with the growing concerns of IT security, that's also one of the main focus areas we are working a lot on. And of course, cost management, which
big priority.
Yeah.
And we're going to walk through a scenario here where you actually encountered some challenge in working cost in line with your available budget. This was specific to an Azure Cloud scenario that we're gonna step the group through. And so my understanding is that cloud costs had been getting quite large, and that it had been increasing, and you were actually spending more than you had available budget for it. Is that correct?
Exactly, Ken. Well, it was accelerating quite rapidly. So to give a bit of background here, we moved all our services and appliances to Azure in 2019, early 2019. So basically the storage cost and backup cost had been stable for a while. But then like 2 years ago, the acceleration started, and it was quite hard with the tools available, to identify the big costs posts. So that was when we started talking to Ceeview and started implementing their dashboards and service models.
Yeah, let's look at a visual representation of what you're describing.
Yep.
So we have this neat slide here that's going to do a little bit of animation, a little bit of PowerPoint building. So firstly, this is the environment where you had started to experience the high cloud cost, and at this point you're not 100% clear. You may have had some ideas of where the cloud cost was coming from, but it wasn't actually getting resolved in this picture. And the picture is that you work with your CSP, your cloud service provider MSP, which is Atea, who is bringing the Azure Cloud to you through through a subscription with Atea. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Talk to us a little bit about how you were not getting an insight you needed to solve this cloud cost, and then I'm going to reverse the build of Ceeview into the picture. Can you walk us a little bit through what this environment was like and how you were struggling to kind of get this cloud cost under control?
Yeah, basically we were able to access cost data in Azure, but then you don't get a total overview over the costs. You just have the data. So by collecting that data into good dashboards, that was when we started to see the actions needed to lower costs.
When did you decide, or how did you decide to enlist Ceeview to help resolve costs that couldn't get resolved in the environment, with Atea and Microsoft Azure? How did you come to connect with Ceeview to help solve this?
Yeah, basically we had loads of talks with our cloud service provider and try to identify the problems or the increasing cost. And we didn't really feel like we were getting anywhere. No offense to our cloud service provider, but the costs were increasing and nothing happened. And then we had a meeting with Svein Roger, and he presented the opportunity to start cooperating with them. So we jumped on board, and we haven't looked back. So
so this is how it came together. This is how. So Ceeview and Svein Roger is a master at cost control and analysis, along with his colleagues Thomas and others that are on his team. But what Sven did with Stian was he brought Ceeview Cloud Cost Control to the situation, much like Anders described it. But what happens here is we connect to the Azure Cloud environment, Stian's instance, and we populate the Ceeview Cost Store, create cost models, and we employ cost scripts to begin to get greater cloud cost visibility. With that visibility, the Ceeview solution comes with some pretty high-powered, high-touch data analysis. So looking at the data and the various outputs that is enabled with Ceeview Cost Control solution through the dashboards and the spreadsheet output that we're going to show you a little bit later. Sven and his team took a look at the Stian's data, and then with that data, with that information in hand, he was able to make a recommendation. He was able to find the issue of high cost and relay that information to Stian. And so the issue was with backup, and the action that was needed to solve the big cost issue was to reduce backup retention. So after the Ceeview Cost Control solution and Sven and his team with their services did the analysis, they produced a report, sent the report to Vesterålskraft, who then Stian learned of the cost reason. He was able to take that information and relay it to Atea clearly. So he had good quality, clear data in hand that he relayed to Atea that now fully understood the reason, the situation, and their action was to reduce backup retention. They went and employed that configuration and that policy inside the Azure cloud, which then affected the reversal in cloud cost. Did I get that picture right, Stian? That worked well?
Really good, Cam. Yeah.
All right, that's great. So let's take a look at the very impressive dashboard. This is our the Ceeview observability platform, and there's a number of environments that are being observed in here. Now, not all of these are in action at Stian's business at Vesteralskraft. We're focusing all the way on the left on cost control. This is a picture into Stian's environment. And this is a top level view, and we're going to click on it to drill down into the information to get to where Stian was able to see specifically what the cost driver was. But what do you see in this particular picture? This little graph, Stian, that's quite interesting, and there seems to be some cost reduction. I guess the effect of cost control came into play.
Yeah. So basically what we see here is one of the dashboards we use a lot. And what we really like about the dashboards is that they're really intuitive and dynamic. So you can basically shape them as you want to get the information you need. And also you have the opportunity to drill down on details. So basically what you see here is monthly cost, basically a part of running our environment in Azure.
Right.
So we got the recommendations from Ceeview. We have observed that things were getting out of hand, and we started making a plan together with Ceeview and implemented the changes for basically one VM in September.
So let's walk to that. Let's take a path to that specific VM.
Yep.
So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this top level control panel to get to the more granular data. So by clicking on cost control, you now see total Azure monthly costs. It's fairly steady, but again, it takes a drop in October, and we're going to explain why. If you click on the monthly bars again, you will get a visualization of all the individual Azure services and their associated cost. So what jumps out right now, at least to me, are the green areas. And if you map that to the key, you can see right now it's starting to tell us that backup is a high cost consumer. Okay. And there is an area on the right-hand side of the dashboard we call the workspace. And this allows you to study these individual service areas or any area that you want to gain cost visibility around. So we're going to click on the work space area to get to the individual service areas. So we have virtual machine usage on the left, and then off to the right we have backup usage, and it was running up pretty high from February all the way through to August. And that was absolutely concerning. You were getting some very large invoices from Atea as a result of that. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically the increasing costs was starting to worry us, because you can't really plan with explosive development of costs, monthly costs like this in your budget. So
no way. Yeah.
We knew that we needed to do something and find a plan, and there's where the good data from Ceeview gave us insight to where to start.
And there's two different forms of data visualization that we shared earlier. One is the dashboards, and these are dashboards that are enabled through the cost store and the cost models. But the other form of data, sorry for the kind of the change of color and the brightness here, but the custom data analysis. And this is where Sven and Thomas and others on his team employ some targeted executables that they run against Stian's instance and data. And those executables populate these spreadsheets, and there's a myriad of these executables that capture the data and populate it. There's two different perspectives that we were able to learn through this custom analysis. This spreadsheet on the right, in the C column are all the individual virtual machines. The individual virtual machines in the D column are all the usage by each one of the machines, and then in column N, and column P are the costs that those virtual machines are incurring. So here we have one with this spreadsheet. Once the output was produced, it just jumped right out at you, Stian, right? You saw the big consumer.
The analysis really pinpointed where we needed to take action. So basically, by pinpointing exactly what VM was the big driver for cost, we could start there and make a new policy for that specific VM.
And what was the role of that VM? What I think you mentioned before, it was an Oracle. It was an Oracle server.
It's an Oracle server, exactly, for our one of our bigger systems in the power grid company. So basically, it accumulates a lot of data. So we had two dimensions of problems. Of course, one was obvious, the increasing cost, but also the time to take the first snapshot of the VM. So we basically take a snapshot on the VM before transferring that to a backup vault.
Right.
So basically what we did, we took the insight we had from our cooperation with Ceeview and presented that to our cloud service provider, made a plan, made a new backup policy, and the result was quite staggering with reducing costs. And this will also continue. We will implement new policies throughout our environment and change the policies where we can, and constantly monitoring what you have and how the costs are developing. And that's where Ceeview really shines.
Another interesting that this spreadsheet, it's actually a different analysis output. What we're seeing here are again, all the way on the left-hand column, blurred out the individual virtual machines, and in each column to the right, kind of the commercial arrangement that was associated with each one of those virtual machines on a day-by-day basis. And what you should not be seeing are multiple different colors. At least that's my understanding, Stian, for your environment. I believe you've put most of these machines on a reservation plan or reserved plan, but the data is showing that the plan is actually changing on certain days, and those changes have cost implications. And for someone that's trying to control costs, and you think you have a specific plan and a specific cost, that's not the case at all, is it?
Exactly. First of all, the spreadsheets, you don't see every detail because we have some occurring abnormalities in the timeline. So this data gives us, first of all, indication of if we have any VMs that don't have a reservation. That was the first thing we started with. And second of all, by working with Thomas and Svein Roger, we realized that all of a sudden we could have some dates where the status of the VM was on demand or actually not reserved at all. So this was a big mystery to us. So that's also the information is handed over to our cloud service provider. They had no explanation of how this came to be. So now it's actually presented to Microsoft. So we're waiting for a good reply from Microsoft, because that's a really weird abnormality, and it also have consequences for cost.
Absolutely. Maybe not as big as that disk usage or that storage usage, but still costs. And the goal here is to control costs, and that's certainly with the way that's changing, not allowing you to do that. This is our last slide, and it's just kind of a wrap up or a summary of your success story. And thank you again for sharing that. It's clear that you've been successful in gaining cost visibility and control in your environment. Is that a statement? Is that true?
Yeah, exactly. We now have the tools and means to control our costs a lot better. And you can call it enhancing our means to revision our CSP or the deliveries we get from Microsoft. So it really makes things easier for us. We are just 2 people employed in the IT department. So by outsourcing these services, we can focus on being a demanding customer over for our CSP, and we get the insights we need from Ceeview.
That's great. So I know that your experience with Ceeview is highly collaborative, that you can engage and have, you know, important discussions and iterate over you know, different situations, and I understand that there's periodic meetings where you are reviewing, studying data, and coming to conclusions, and through that a number of new insights are discovered, and then through that process recommendations are made for, you know, current day as well as optimization opportunities forward looking. So just conclude that there's a strong collaboration capability. I wanted to wrap up our session with a question, and I'm going to conclude the share here and just ask if there's you know, if you have any recommendations to your fellow users that are in attendance here, you know, based on your experience.
Yeah, if you're a small medium business like us and you don't have the capability or the means to monitor costs at all time, I would highly recommend Ceeview. And we have scheduled meetings, and I dropped in when TV2 concluded, and I would also like to emphasize that all our suggestions are met, and development of dashboards and service modules are really dynamic and fits us really good, and we get good recommendations, and they follow up our needs really quickly. So I would highly recommend looking into cooperating with Ceeview.
Thank you for that. Those are very kind words, and we appreciate the time and the information that you've shared in your partnership with Ceeview, and certainly are going to work to support your business success, you know, going forward, just as we have now. So thanks again, Stian, for joining us today and sharing your story.
Thanks, Ken.